Hi,
Hey,
Andy. How's it
Hello,
going?
mate.
am I the wrong way? Am I the wrong way around? Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, you're the wrong way around.
Uh, oh, balls.
That's it.
No, no, but then my headphone thing doesn't. Oh, fuck it. I'll just hold it. There you go. How are you doing?
Not too
Sorry, I'm
bad.
late.
No problem. We were just having a chat there. So listen, it's good for both of you to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
So
it's
welcome,
great.
man.
Lovely to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get straight into it because I know it's late and I'm sure you have better things to be doing.
Ah, it's a
Not
joy.
really,
It's
mate.
a joy.
Not really,
It's
mate.
lovely.
We can make this a good 3 hours if you like.
Not a problem.
I don't mean that. Yeah.
Yeah, we could talk about each of your albums, your day jobs as well, separately. um, so yeah, thanks very much for taking the time to do this. Much appreciated. I love the new album. It's amazing. First of all, before we get into that, how have you been coping during the lockdown? We'll have to get that out of the way.
Cheers, Andy. Personally, I
Have
mean,
juice.
yeah. um, it's up and down, isn't it? I think everybody is kind of their waves of optimism and then depression and good news and bad news, and it's a crazy, crazy time. Both Andy and I, since making our record in 2019, have moved out of London, so we now live in Gloucestershire. We don't live together. Um, uh, it's just
We don't live that far
way.
apart, do we?
No, we don't. I don't know, man. I mean, if I was still in London, you get on with it and do what you need to do, don't you? And you just crack on. But I feel lucky to be somewhere with some green open spaces around, to get out the front door quite easily. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, in music, the music kind of angle of it, obviously all the crew and the roadies and stuff. It's just it must be just unbelievable for them. People like me and Andy, we've just been writing loads of songs and trying to homeschool our kids and remain sane.
Have you discovered any series or any new music that get you through the time in lockdown?
I think we've all done. We've all done all of the. I think everybody has had to have done all of the major sort of Netflix, Amazon, everything releases and binge watched everything because it's just been endless time at home, hasn't it? It's just been a lot of time to sit and think about things, be with your children, read books, watch series. I've definitely watched more TV in this last 12 months than I've ever watched in my entire life. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's great. I feel like I'm a Netflix addict.
It's funny. So much of this dark time has been deeply wonderful. Spending a lot of time with family, children, and real quality time. When you put the worries to one side, there has been so much of it that has been ace. Both Andy and I are lucky that in terms of everybody's healthy, in our immediate family and stuff. So.
Yes, I suppose that's the most positive thing that come out of the whole pandemic. People have been able to spend time together, like you said, and quality time. So let's get to the album. It's been 10 years since you released the Christmas themed album, Funny Looking Angels, which is a great album. And now you're just about to put out in February, Only Smith and Burrows is Good Enough. 10-year gap. Obviously you have day jobs with Andy, you do your own thing, and then you have editors, Tom. Is that the only thing that took the length of time it did?
I mean, diaries are a problem or an issue, we've talked about following up Funny Looking Angels, it's come up in conversation once a month since we put it out, I'd say. Andy, you reckon? In drinking
Oh
time?
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and it has been a long time. But I think that it was something that we were always going to do at one point or another. And to be honest with you, I think the fact that it's been, almost a decade just continues with the sort of general theme that this whole Smith and Burrows-ness is a natural it's a friendship turned music endeavor, and that kind of thing can't be forced or pushed. It's just when we both got the time and when we both feel super inspired. And luckily for us, a couple of years ago, that was exactly what happened. And here we are with this wonderful shiny album.
It's quite a unique situation because the debut record was a Christmas record. And to do a record like that, however intense it is and however successful it goes, it's still only got a certain length of time that you work with it. We toured it for 2 weeks. You get to the new year. I mean, that's it, isn't it? Okay, you can't keep playing those songs. You have to move on. You're forced to by the very nature of the record you've made. But then with that, every year that record is, the people that record resonated with. Every year we get these messages of people that are putting it on again. December and stuff. So you get this little trickle every year of Smith and Burrows love, and so it's just this reminder. Okay, come on, guys, you got to keep.
Yeah.
Write some more songs together. Get on with it.
No, the first album was beautiful, beautiful record, and I would give it a spin during Christmas time myself. What if I did forget to ask you? I mean, I know you've known each other for a long time, but when did you actually meet?
Was it Glastonbury?
It was Glastonbury, I think. Glastonbury Festival.
2000.
I believe 2005. Oh, I found a way of doing my phone. Yeah, Tom's band had played the night before. Is that right, Tom?
We played at like something AM in the morning, as people having their breakfast, and you'd headlined the other stage.
That's right. Yeah.
And
we were having a party, weren't we?
Yeah, it was a good time. It was an amazing time. And Andy knew my then girlfriend a bit, and then we were just hanging out, and clicked straight away, just as drinking buddies, really. And we lived in the same part of North London, and just would go for a drink, would talk about music, would talk about everything else, really. We both became dads at the same time, in our respective relationships, and went through those things together. And Andy's some of Andy's musical things that he got up to, I would kind of help out and hang out for a day, just hang out with my mate, really. But sometimes I'd sing with him for a while, and that became Funny Looking Angels. Yeah.
And how do you both approach songwriting together?
How do we approach songwriting together? I think we just, when we feel inspired, we might send something the other person's way. I mean, we've written most of these songs over the last few years. I don't know, like the last 4 or 5 years, and some of them even further back. And each song has had a slightly different way of sort of coming to fruition, but on the whole, I think we really enjoy being in a room together, or we really enjoy knocking ideas backwards and forwards on an email, or I don't know. It's quite a nice natural process for Tom and myself. I think he'll chuck an idea my way in the room or on an email, and vice versa, and we and if we don't like it, we won't go anywhere near it. But more often than not, we'll feel inspired, and like a game of tennis, we'll bat the ball the other way, and something eventually comes of it. And it's always felt very natural. It's always felt very sort of spontaneous and natural.
I like the idea of it being like tennis.
Yeah, or wash, or you wash, I'll dry.
I'll be McEnroe. You can be Ball.
Yeah, yeah.
I think because it's built on
serious.
No, that's me, man. Yeah, I think because it's built on our friendship. I think over the years we have this understanding of what's going to work and what's not going to work, or an idea. You have that kind of intuition. You're like, I think this will work with Andy. I think Andy can make this better. I think it can be a Smith and Burrows song. I remember being on tour with editors. Top lounge of the bus, and Andy had sent me the idea behind the verse and the kind of pre-chorus bit for "I Want You Back in My Life," and immediately I was like, okay, this is a really cool little idea. And just on the top of the bus, kind of working out the chords to make a little chorus. I'd send him then like a little WhatsApp kind of audio message. How do you think this is going to work with that? And he'd be like, yeah, it's cool. So and things would bounce, exactly like tennis.
And when you're writing the songs, do you think a great melody is more important than a great lyric?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, well, I mean, the gold is when the lyric and the melody decide to play the same game of tennis.
I think you can
they're both equal. Yeah.
No, sorry, go on, Andy. I think it's a great question.
No.
It's a great because I think you can have a really good song with bad lyrics.
Yeah.
But I think you can have. I don't think great lyrics on their own make a great song.
Yeah, and you know what?
They might make great poetry, or it's intriguing.
It's an intriguing conversation because you'll talk to fans of music, or well, we're all fans of music, but you'll talk to people who write music for a living, or write music at home for themselves, and you'll talk to people that listen to music with a passion. And everybody's got completely, well, like with everything, different opinions on this. So I know so many people who I love and respect the work of, who say that lyrics, it's all about lyrics. And I feel very strongly that a great lyric is obviously gold dust. It's brilliant. If you can sing a brilliant song that's got an amazing lyric, it's gold dust. But I totally agree with Tom. There are plenty of incredible songs out there that have got dog shit lyrics. There aren't many examples of brilliant radio hit pop songs that are just a sort of a spoken word poem of the best words ever. Yeah. So I guess what we're both saying, probably to answer your question, is probably that for us, I guess melody and music probably is a little bit more important. But I'm well aware that that's definitely not science. It's not fact.
But also that you factor into this conversation that it's all taste as well. If I like coming at writing songs, trying to write pop songs and pop melodies and pop lyrics. Now it comes through my vision and my filter, so it's going to come out in my own way, and it's different from. To be honest, it's not really. I'm not that successful pop writer, really, am I? The bands I've been in are alternative bands, but I still like the idea of trying to make that kind of pop statement, and I love those songs when things really cross over, and when things do really cross over, if a lot of people like them, it's probably good. It's good to a lot of people, and that can be a Maroon 5 song, just as well as it can be an REM song. Yeah. It's a great discussion.
Well, personally, I like songs with hooks. I like to be hooked in first, and I really like the track, the hook, and the melody. Then I'll delve into what they're actually saying. I'll dig deeper. I'm talking about the songs. The first single of the album, All the Best Moves. It's about wanting to stay in on your own, from what I can gather, which is sort of quite apt from where we are now. It's quite current.
It is, but this person wants to stay in. He doesn't. Even if he could, I think most of us are just chomping at the bit to try and give somebody a cuddle, and in the pub. But this guy, this guy in lockdown would be like, yeah, whatever, and then lockdown would ease up, and then he still wouldn't go out.
Right.
Nah, it's he thinks he's the bee's knees, but he's not. He's sad and lonely. And the character-driven song.
Yeah, well, the video looked up. It was obviously made in lockdown as well. It looked like you were having a good laugh putting that together.
Well, we were having a good laugh on our own in our in our respective houses. I think it looks like a lot more of a laugh than it actually was. No, it was a great laugh. It was a super high speed dubbing laugh. No, it was great. You know what? I don't mean that. It was a laugh, but I'm just saying it's funny, isn't it? Because it looks like a laugh, but it is just two blokes in their own bedroom. But I quite like that video now because it's. I did actually watch it the other night, or at least I watched the first couple of minutes or whatever, and it's just. I think it's sort of, the start of lockdown or whatever last spring, summer. it did all feel quite new and sort of novelty, and it's kind of, it does look like quite fun. I wonder if we made that video now, whether we'd have the same jumping on the bed sort of vibe,
I
or
love
whether
it.
it would
Just two
be...
people just sat down, split screen.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it would have the pizzazz if we were to do that video now. I think we'd be like, fuck this. Fuck this. Yeah.
One of the other singles, old TV shows, another great track about looking back at past relationships. I mean, I love the lyric, it's over like Top of the Pops, which should bring Top of the Pops back, But what was your favorite TV shows growing up? Surely you probably grew up in the 70s, 80s?
The 80s. Yeah.
Yes, so did I. So
I think, I think, to be absolutely honest with you, for me, Top of the Pops was probably my favourite TV show, and I still watch EastEnders to this day, and I watched that when I was a kid. But Top of the Pops and the Saturday morning shows, they're the ones that I remember. Going Live or whatever was before that. Yeah, Going Live, and and like a little bit in our teenage years, the Ant and Dec and Cat Deely stuff, that was amazing. But really, Top of the Pops, I mean, Tom slammed that lyric into that song, and it made all the sense in the world to both of us, because that show is also Wogan. Wogan was genius.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Top of the Pops. I don't know why it went. I don't know why. I mean, it would work now. It would work in this streaming age. But it was brilliant, wasn't it? Because it set the template every single week. You sat down in front of the TV, and it told you what was going on, and that was just genius. And it made you feel, as a 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old, made you feel like you're out in the club or the gigs with the older kids. It was just brilliant.
It also kind of connected the whole, culturally, the whole country, whatever, if it was an indie band in the top 10, you feel like everyone was like, oh, this is unique for, at certain times, this is an amazing thing, especially for, indie boys like me and Andy. If it's a Blur appearing on Top of the Pops next to, I don't know, whoever the pop band of the time was, it was a collective experience as well. I remember a bit later, but I do remember TFI Friday being a big...
TFI Friday was
well,
absolutely brilliant. That was an amazing show.
Yeah, proper.
I feel very lucky. I think Tom did as well. In fact, I know Tom did. Very lucky that we got in and played on. I'm so happy that I got in and played Top of the Pops before it started doing specials. I'm so happy that we got to be on Top of the Pops back in the day, when people would say, like, if your gran saw you on Top of the Pops, if someone's gran, then you knew you'd cracked it, you'd smashed it.
I still watch the reruns at the weekend.
Yeah, same. What, the Top of the Pops 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I think we're up to the 90s at the minute.
I was definitely thinking about Top of the Pops 2 when I wrote that. Because that idea of, when you look back at, something's happened in a relationship, a good time, a bad time, the passing of time, you look back through a certain filter, and it kind of, I think a lot of the time you see the good in that situation. You've moved on and things have happened and whatever. And when I think about Top of the Pops, I always think about those older performances, though. All the old Grey Whistle Test style of kind of, the filter that's on there. It's not a filter; it's just old. But I think nostalgia and that kind of, it can give things a good glow.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about hooks. I think my favorite track on the album is Bottle Tops, and it's a synthesizer. I think it's a synthesizer sound in that song. That's what hooked me into it, and that's why I love it. Is it a synthesizer sound? I can't even really describe it. Yeah.
It's a combination of things. There's kind of a synthesized steel drum.
Right.
There's some vocals. There's a vocal going do do and it's about, I think it's probably about the harmony that exists on that line as well that makes it pop out. But this record is us trying to write pop music and not be afraid of embracing immediate melodies or trying to write something catchy. And with editors, with that type of thing is always a bit uncomfortable. It's always been something that, I don't know, we're always trying to kind of exist in mood or atmosphere as much as we can, There's a collective thing. There's 4 or 5 of us in the band that it's what we all want to do. But with this, I don't know, just go for the hooks.
It must feel really sort of refreshing for like yourself for to be able to do stuff like you're doing this album after what you just said. You wouldn't see that sort of track on editors.
I think it's more. Well, you'd see its tracks a bit more like that now with editors. With as you get older, you just get a bit less precious about that. And I think you're just kind of less insecure about being cool or uncool, or realize that those things are just not important or not. There's no relevance to it anyway. So the reality is the songs of editors that did the best when we were still insecure and worried about were the ones that were the most melodic, and we went for those hooks anyway. So just lighten up and go for it. We should have done that in the first place.
Well, the album was produced by Jacquard Keane, I think it is, who produced my favorite editor's album, The Weight of Your Love. You recorded it in Tennessee. So why did you choose to go with him for this album?
Well, because I think I don't think we thought in a million years we'd get to record with him to start. In terms of like why did we choose? I think he was at the top of the list, and with a little thing in brackets going no chance.
Too expensive.
Yeah.
And
too expensive.
Did you just have a good time recording over there in Tennessee? I'm sure there was a bit of drinking done.
Yeah, it was good time.
It was amazing. It was so good. We were in this little town called Franklin, which is just outside Nashville, and Tom and I had an absolute blast. We really did. We had our own little Airbnb for 5 or 6 weeks, and there were a couple of bars that we frequented, and we walked in and out of the studio every day, a couple of miles into the studio. It was beautiful, really, really uncomfortably hot for us white pasty Brits. But it was an absolute dream. It was one of those things that I now look back on and I'm just like, I knew it was going to be dreamy before we embarked on it. But now I look back and I'm like, that was special. It was really special to get, especially now with the age we are. When we were both younger in our bands, it was quite normal to find yourself on the other side of the world doing something. Well, it wasn't normal. I'm not saying it was normal. It was exceptional. But for us, it became normal to be doing something completely wild on the other side of the world. But now we're both, Tom's in his late 30s and I'd turned 40, and there we were, a couple of mates in an Airbnb, swanning around Franklin, Tennessee, recording this album with Jacquard King. And it was an absolute dream. It was absolutely brilliant. It really was. It was everything you might imagine it was. It was totally dreamy.
Good. Well, Tom, what's on the album? What's the song that stands out for you? What's your favorite track on the album?
I don't know, man. I really like Spaghetti. I like Parliament Hill. But then, I don't know. All the Best Moves is great too. It's still very new. It's hard to have favourites. It's such a good time making the record. It's so interesting to hear to feel how these songs go down with people and to get the response and. But yeah, maybe Spaghetti. I knew when I wrote Spaghetti that one's probably more of my writing, and I just felt like the coolest thing that I'd done, really.
No, it's a great track. What about you, Andy?
I don't know, really. I'm never really very good with favourites because I feel like I'm a bit of a fair weather friend with songs. I sort of flit about, and
yeah, me too.
I'm into the one. I'm into the one that I like tonight. And if I've had sort of 4 bottles of Peroni, I like that song better than the one I liked when I woke up and I was going for a drive. It's, and I'm always certain for that half an hour that that's my favourite song. But I think ultimately, I'm really proud of this record, and I love all of the songs. I have a real soft spot for Tom's song "Too Late." That really moves me.
It was like a surprise, that song.
Yeah, I'm really into this record, which is handy.
My youngest boy, he loves Guardians of the Galaxy, and because of that film, he asked for Christmas a Walkman, a cassette Walkman. It had to be a cassette Walkman because the hero in that film plays the music from that. And so his Walkman that he's got has got a little speaker on it. So he just goes around playing. He's got like the mixtape from Guardians of the Galaxy, which he loves. Those kind of old kind of 70s and early 80s funk songs and stuff. And then he raided all my old cassettes. So he's been playing some Fleetwood Mac and Idlewild and stuff. But also my dad, who has a copy of the record of the Smith and Burris record, put it on cassette for him. So he's been walking around the house just playing Only Smith and Burris Is Good Enough. It's just been in the background for the last week or so, coming from a cassette Walkman. It just sounds like the coolest. it just sounds like the coolest record in the world.
I love it.
It's funny how speaking about looking back, that kind of like warm glow that nostalgia can give you. For some reason, at the moment, to me, cassettes feel like the coolest thing in the world, and even the sound of them, it's slightly overloaded. So the whole thing sounds great.
I didn't know you could still get Walkman.
You have, you can, yeah. They're not expensive, yeah.
I used to have a paper round, and I just used to stick my Walkman on and stick the latest album on.
Yeah, totally. Same here. £11 a week.
Yeah,
Paper round.
I didn't get paid that much now, but it was about £5.
How many papers?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, about 52 papers every day. I know I got robbed.
That's a lot. That's a heavy weight.
Yeah.
You did get robbed. It was the same era. When were you born?
74.
74. Oh, well, maybe to be fair, you were 6 years ahead of me, so maybe that's what it was. But things have gone up.
Yeah.
A couple of quid.
Inflation. But it paid me enough to buy a tape every week, and that's how I discovered my love for music. Just stuck an album on and walked out and did the papers. And the album is really great, and I'm not just saying that. I love the way your voices really blend well together. You really, really do work well together. It's fantastic.
Oh, cheers.
But I suppose you're just itching to get out on the road, which God knows when that will be. Is there plans down the line for to do live shows?
We have. Go on, Andy. You want to go with this? Yeah.
No, you go, Tom. You go.
Well, I mean, there are certain festivals that are trying to book shows for next summer. Right as we speak right now, that doesn't, to me personally, everyone's different, feel that realistic, but you never know. With every week, things can get brighter.
Yeah.
But obviously in the immediate future, Andy and I can't go out and play these songs. And in an ordinary time, we would be playing little shows, radio shows, little tours. And we missed that. We're that's very sad to not be able to do that. So, but we are clinging on to the hope that at some point towards the end, for the record's out in February, summertime, maybe after the summer, I don't know, but some point this year, it would be wonderful.
I think the good thing, the one sort of, the one sort of, I don't know about good thing, but the one okay thing about Tom and I and this record, in comparison to bands, say Tom's band, the bands I've been in, and certainly new bands coming up now, is that it must be the most frustrating and heartbreaking thing in the world, because you want to get out and play live, and it's what you do when you're a band. That is where it all comes from. It comes from the stage. It comes from playing shows. I think with this record, obviously we want to get out. We'd even like to be out doing promo together. We'd like to be sat next to each other in a radio station with a guitar playing to somebody. But I think the one thing, with this record is it's not like me and Tom have a band and that we're ready to go, and that we had a tour that we were cancelled. So in many ways, this record, it is, I mean, I don't like saying it because this is a shit time, but in many ways, this record is a great record for now, because, it's a bunch of great songs and some videos, and eventually when we can, we'll get out and invent some sort of a live scenario, which hopefully will just roll on over the years. And whenever Tom's got a gap in his edited schedule, and whenever I'm not doing stuff, we can work out how to play Smith and Burris shows, because that'll be great. Me and Tom are both intrigued as to how that's going to go.
The good thing is as well, by the time you do play shows, then fans will have had time to digest the album, and they'll know the songs for whenever you're performing them down the line.
Exactly, they'll all know the words. It'll be a living, it'll be a lip sync fest. It's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few more questions, guys. I'd like to ask all my guests these. So we'll go you, Andy, first. Out of all the music in your collection, who do you have the most albums by?
Okay, so it's honest answers only, isn't it? I think it's the way to do this. So I
We
was
want,
gonna
we want some lies, Andy. Pure.
no, but people do try and be cool when it comes to
True.
this kind of question. So
Yeah.
I know that
Yeah.
from
And I
first-hand
definitely
experience.
have 20 Joy Division records.
Yeah, you definitely do. So that's fine. You're allowed to say that. I don't have 20 Joy Division records. Elton John, I think, is probably the person I've got all the albums of. If I'm honest, Elton John. Blur, I've got the record. I've got most records. Blur and Elton John probably.
Have you got all the Blur records?
I've got definitely got all the Blur records. Yeah,
Yeah, even the new.
even the Magic Whip. Yeah, I've got them.
Is that the
yeah.
newest? Yeah, Magic Whip.
Yeah.
I think that's the newest album. That's the most recent album. I've got every Blur thing they've ever done for sure. I've got every collection, every B-side, everything, and I've got every Elton John on vinyl.
Yeah. How many records has Elton John got?
Loads.
Yeah, he's got loads. I don't know how many there are. Yeah, but yeah, he's got loads. I think I've got all
the REM records. I've got all the REM albums, obviously. So that's me, which is, I guess, fairly cool. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's true though, isn't it? It's true. I know that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of Blur and I'm a big fan of REM as well, so that's good.
What's wrong with Elton John? What are you saying?
Well, Elton John comes in. I've got an Elton John greatest hits. I mean, I love Elton John. He's amazing. I'd say, as a songwriter, he's right up there with Lennon and McCartney, him and Bernie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But he comes in and out of
I
coolness.
What's that?
He comes in and out of coolness. He's cool sometimes, and we've lost that.
Yeah. Oh,
You dissed out on John. If you diss out on John, Andy just goes.
Just a couple more. Well, Andy, what would be your favorite Editor song or song that Tom has written? Doesn't have to be Editors.
My favorite Editor song. Okay, well, I always tell Tom when they're playing live that my favorite one, and it is my favorite one to watch them play live, without a shadow of a doubt, is Eat Raw Meat. That's what it's called, isn't it? Is that right? Is that what it's called? It's got some brackets, doesn't it? And blood drool.
It's got equal.
No, what's it called? Oh, was it? Well,
It's
no,
called-
that was the title.
It's called Eat Raw Meat, which equals blood drool, and it's an awful title.
Okay, that's my favourite song for sure live. And I always text Tom if I'm ever going to see them. I'll be like, "Please, can you stick that in the set?" Mm-hmm. And actually, to be fair, Tom, the couple of times I've asked him to do that, they've done it. It was probably already in the set anyway, but he pretends.
No. It's in and out. That one is in and out.
I think I love my favourite Editor song is the one we did on the tour, Tom, and I've momentarily forgotten. We did two.
We did.
Leave a light on it will be there.
No Sound But the Wind.
Oh man, I'm afraid that's it. That song. I've got goosebumps, and I just mentioned it. So yeah, I think that's my favourite song.
What about you, Tom? What about what Andy's done? Whether it's solo stuff or Razorlight?
America.
Dude, America is an amazing song.
No, I'm not laughing at the song. I'm laughing at that would be funny if you said that.
I was honestly, sincerely thinking America.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, that song's incredible. So,
yeah, it is. It's a belter, absolute belter.
Yeah. Absolute belter. There's no better word for that.
Yeah. Sweet.
Well, last one, guys. What was your favorite album of 2020?
Oh God.
Album of 2020.
I can't even remember the year, really. If you know
Or
what I mean.
maybe an album you discovered in 2020, because you know yourself. Every year you discover new stuff. Doesn't have to be out that year.
My fairly recent discovery, which I think it might have been 2018, maybe 19, is the band The Blue Nile.
Great band.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of until fairly recently, but and I've immersed myself in their records since, and the first two particularly are unbelievable. It's nice to fall in love with something that has taken you by surprise, from the past especially. But in terms of records from, I don't even know what made the lists of 2020. Of albums. I don't even know. That's pretty sad.
No, I don't. I can't. No.
There are certain singles that jump out, but albums, I don't know.
The best thing I've heard recently that I really love is that new In all honesty, I definitely don't know any albums. The Taylor Swift has done something recently that really blew my mind. That's all. She's got a song that she like leaked. Well, no, she didn't leak. She just released it at like midnight about 3 weeks ago, didn't she? It's now getting played, and I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it was a whole album. It was a whole album.
She's irritatingly brilliant. Yeah, no, but I only know that song. I haven't heard the album, but there's a song that they played that she put out in the middle of the night about 3 weeks ago, about a month ago.
Yeah, she did 2 records fairly
But
recently.
wherever you go, da, 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 whenever you know I'll follow you. That's fucking amazing. I don't know what it's called, but that's because I can't think of anything in the last 12 months. That's something I heard on the radio, and I was like, "Fucking hell, she's good."
I lost my daughter. She's a big fan.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's an odd thing, and also it's not completely my style to say that. I'm not suggesting I'm alternative and cool, but that is a bit mainstream, a bit more mainstream than I would like to admit. But I did hear that the other day, and I thought that's very good.
Cool. Well, is there anything else you just want to add just before we go, guys? That we haven't mentioned, you would like to mention?
We should big up Danny and Colton. Just put Danny and Colton in the press. This has been a great bunch of questions. I particularly enjoyed the lyrics and music question. I'm going to go away and think about that for a while now.
He's not going to sleep for 2 days.
Yeah, because I'm going to be thinking about that. Because I do think that's intriguing, by the way. I thought that question was very good.
Thank you.
I think that'll be the quandary for songwriters for the rest of time, I think. It really will. It is.
Well, I appreciate that, because it took me a while to... When you're doing these things, you don't know, you get asked the same things all the time, and, you know...
No, this has been a great interview, my friend. It's been lovely. It's been great to chat. And like Tom said at the start, like, you know, we're busy with homeschooling and with being miserable and stuff. But at the same time, it's lovely to talk about music, and it's lovely to sit down late at night and have somebody be interested in your record. So thank you very much.
So listen, guys, it's been a real pleasure speaking to you, because we're a fan of the stuff you do in your day job, and this here new record is absolutely tremendous. Really, really like it. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just blowing smoke up your arse. It's class.
Thank you. That's really kind. Thank you.
Mark. Thank you.
All right. So listen, guys, have a good night anyway, okay? And
You too.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Yeah, you too. All the best.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Take
man.
it easy.
Bye-bye.